Do you feel the vibes?
What's up, YouTube? It's Carolina Calvin coming back to another video, and I want to talk about NBA free agency. Now, I didn't make a video about every single thing that happened. I know about all the trades that happened. Different free agents that were picked up. I didn't want to make a video about each individual thing, although I definitely could have, especially with one of them, or at least two or three of them, which were really big deals and really changes the team. Obviously the team that player left and the team they went to. But I'm gonna talk about free agents that they where they signed, how much, how long, of course. Then I'm gonna talk about the trades. Of course, they're gonna be the big ones in there. All right, there's a lot of, in terms of the free agent guys that were signed. Blake Griffin got a 5-year deal. Doesn't, on this list I'm looking at, it doesn't say how much, but I'm pretty sure it's out there. Tony Snell, 4-year, $46 million deal with the Bucks, so he pretty much re-signed there. Jeff Teague signed a 3-year, $57 million deal with the Timberwolves. So Timberwolves starting to put together a pretty good team there. You already had your guys that were there, and you have one of the trades that happened that pisses me off, but I'm gonna get to that one. Next, Patty Mills signed a 3-year, $57 million deal. So is he gonna be the starter now? What's gonna happen with Tony Parker? Sean Livingston signed a 3-year, $24 million deal with the Warriors. That was one of the guys they wanted to bring back to, their core guys that they play a lot. So they're gonna have most of their core guys there. Steph Curry signs a 5-year, $201 million deal, which is the highest all time. So he's definitely getting a huge payday. Jrue Holiday signs a 5-year, $126 million deal with Pelicans. Good scorer, but I don't know throwing that much money at him. Obviously, the cap went up, but I don't know throwing that much money at him. They still need some other pieces. They still have the cap room to get some other pieces, but I don't think they had to pay him that much. Next, you have David West, who pretty much signs his last year. He's saying this is his last year with the Warriors, so another guy they're bringing back. Langston Galloway, 3-year, $21 million deal with the Pistons. J.J. Redick, a 1-year, $23 million deal with the Sixers. I don't think anyone was gonna pay him that much. Can't blame him for taking a $23 million deal, despite it being 1 year. But he could really help this team out with a bunch of young guys. And he's a veteran. He's a knockdown shooter. So he could definitely help out those guys. Amir Johnson signs a 1-year, $11 million deal with the Sixers, and bringing in another veteran. Joe Ingles signs a 4-year, $52 million deal with the Jazz. Andre Iguodala signs a 3-year, $48 million deal with the Warriors. I'm pretty sure somebody probably offered him more, but the Warriors have the best chance of winning another title. So, of course, he's going to stay with those guys. It's a pretty good contract. And it's another one of the core guys that they're bringing back. And he's definitely been huge for them coming off that bench. Next, P.J. Tucker signs a 4-year, $32 million with the Rockets. Taj Gibson signs a 2-year, $28 million deal with the Timberwolves. Another good pickup for the Timberwolves. Like I said, watch out for them. They have no excuse not to make the playoffs coming in next year. Next, Serge Ibaka signs a 3-year, $65 million deal with the Raptors. I see why he stayed there. Jody Meeks signs a 2-year, $7 million deal with the Washington Wizards. Kyle Korver signs a 3-year, $22 million deal with the Cavs. He's so old, man. I guess they want a shooter so bad, but he's old. Next, Kyle Lowry signs a 3-year, $100 million deal with the Raptors just so he could disappear in the playoffs. Next, Justin Holiday signs a 2-year, $9 million deal with the Bulls. Fuck the Bulls. I'm a Bulls fan, but this offseason has been a disaster. Next, Ben McLemore signs a 2-year, $11 million deal with the Grizzlies. Next, Paul Millsap signs a 3-year, $90 million deal with the Nuggets. Surprised about him going to the Nuggets. Darren Collison signs a 2-year, $20 million deal with the Pacers. Kevin Durant pretty much, he didn't pick up his option, but they knew they were going to re-sign him with a restructured deal. He signs a 2-year, $53 million deal with the Warriors, which allowed Steph Curry to get paid. Now we'll have to see when Klay's contract comes around what they're going to do about that. those guys are getting paid. You know, you look at Draymond's contract. Of course, Curry having the highest contract of all time. So what are they gonna do for Clay when his contract comes up? Next, you got George Hill, 3-year, $57 million deal with the Kings. And the last one I have on this list is Zach Randolph, a 2-year, $24 million deal with the Kings. And he's a guy, he's past it. He still can provide offensively in the paint, but you know he's in his late 30s. How much does he really have left? And he was already coming off the bench for that Grizzlies team. So we'll have to see. Kings are in complete rebuild mode, but at least they're trying to bring in some guys. More than you can say about the Bulls. Now on to some of the trades. All right, from LA, the Lakers trade D'Angelo Russell and Timothy Mozgov for Brook Lopez and the number 27 pick in the 2017 draft, which was Kyle Kuzma. I might be saying his name wrong. I'm sorry if I am. But this one right here, all right, they wanted Lonzo Ball. Big reason why they got rid of D'Angelo Russell. He already didn't have that big. His reputation was in the fucking tank with the Lakers. Timothy Mozgov, another guy they were paying who really wasn't even getting any playing time. Those two guys they really wanted to get rid of anyway. But Brook Lopez, I don't know about that. We'll have to see. He was with the Nets. Maybe he can play better. But you're talking about a guy who had games where he had more 3-point attempts than he had rebounds. So that's the type of guy you're bringing into LA. Next, the Dwight Howard one. No, I said it like that. The Hornets get Dwight Howard and the the 31st pick in the 2017 draft. The Hawks get Marco Bellinelli, Miles Plumlee, number 41st pick in the 2017 draft. And the guys, the number 31st pick was Frank Jackson, and the 41st was Tyler Dorsey. Now this one right here is funny because Dwight, like a week after Dwight was like, because he showed up on, it was some ESPN, it might have been ESPN, something like that, where he showed up. He was talking to McGrady, Tracy McGrady. He was talking to Scottie Pippen, and he was talking about extending his range out to the 3-point line. Mind you, this guy is playing like he's playing like a bum. He's not even making hook shots, but he wants to go out there and shoot threes when he's not known for it to be a shooter at all, not even a mid-range shooter. So he wants to go all the way out to the 3-point line. I want to say a week after that, his ass was gone. The Hawks got rid of him. His hometown, they got him out of there. So kind of shows you that it is crazy how quick this guy diminished. And he could still be a good defender, but at this point, it doesn't seem like he cares. He cares more about working on his 3-point game than expanding his post game. So that one actually was really funny. All right, this one is the one that pisses me off. This is the one that pissed me off. The Chicago Bulls trade Jimmy Butler and the number 16th pick for Zach LaVine. Mind you, a guy that had ACL injury who was not going to play this season and is probably going to walk because his rookie contract is up. Chris Dunn, who was the guy the Timberwolves are high on. The number 7th pick and the number 7th pick in the 2017 draft, which was can I say his name? This is insane. Zach LaVine, who I would say is an improved player, but he's hurt. Chris Dunn, another guy who's a project. And I don't give a shit about the draft. Jimmy Butler, the Bulls got robbed. All because they want to back out the truck. And the only reason a guy like Dwayne Wade stayed and picked up his option was because no one else was going to pay them that kind of money. And he probably was going to get a buyout. So he's going to still get that money and sign the veteran minimum with another team. So this trade strengthens the T-Wolves, and the Bulls, I despite if you look up ticket numbers, the Bulls are still up there in terms of who selling out the stadium, selling out the arena, and look at the shit that they put on the floor. It's pathetic. Management, they need all those guys in management. They need to go. If they're putting this type of team with one of the biggest markets in basketball. It's one of the biggest markets, up there with New York, up there with Boston and LA. It's one of the bigger markets, and you're putting that on the floor. Now, that's not to say those other teams are doing much better, but that doesn't give them a pass for sucking. Fuck that. Let's keep going with the next big trade. Chris Paul. All right, there's a lot of guys that they trade. The Rockets actually brought in guys just so they can trade them for whatever. Obviously, because of the contract or whatever. But the Clippers trade Chris Paul, and it was a draft consideration also for Patrick Beverley, Lou Williams, Sam Dekker, like I said, a first round 2018 protected pick, Montrezl Harrell, Darren Hilliard, DeAndre Leggins, and Kyle Wilt. I'm calling Wilt. Kyle Wilt for Chris Paul. Now, this is a video I could have made also about the Jimmy Butler thing, but that would have been a bunch of ranting. But I don't think Chris Paul is a good fit in Houston. I don't feel as though he's a good fit in Houston just because we saw James Harden have his best season offensively in terms of his assists, in terms of his scoring, and he had he was the guy bringing up the ball. He had the ball majority of the time in his hand. You look at his usage percentage; it was really high. Only other person that was higher was Russell Westbrook. So you're bringing in a guy Chris Paul, who excels with the ball in his hand. How is that going to affect James Harden? Seeing as he's a ball-in-hand player. Can he play off the ball? That's going to be the biggest question. I thought Chris Paul should have went to someone like San Antonio where, you can put in a system where you can have these guys moving out the ball and, it will take some pressure off of a Kawhi Leonard. But you put him in Houston with a guy who excels at having the ball in his hand. We haven't seen him off the ball be as effective. So that's the biggest question with that. Will those two be able to play together and still be as effective as we've seen? And also, Chris Paul's getting older, man. There's a big reason the Clippers wanted him to go. And there's a big reason why they chose Blake Griffin over him, despite Blake Griffin's injury issues. So that's one that's going to be interesting to see. I thought Chris Paul should have either went back to New Orleans or should have went to the Spurs. But, the Rockets made a hard push at him, of course. Next one, Ricky Rubio goes to the Jazz for a 2018 pick. It's a 2018 pick via Oklahoma City. So the Timberwolves traded him to the Utah Jazz. Timberwolves were trying to get rid of him the whole time. And as you see, they signed Jeff Teague. This is pretty much the guy they wanted to replace him. But they've been trying to get it from under that contract for a while. The Jazz, they had a vacant point guard, George Hill. He pretty much signed somewhere else. So it was the guy they wanted to bring in to take that contract. The next, probably the biggest one. Well, I won't say it's the biggest one. One of the bigger ones because, coming into the offseason, this was like, he wanted to go to LA. This is the only place he wanted to play. He came out and told. He shouldn't have told just because he kind of ruined the Pacers' leverage with that because you knew he was probably a rental for any other team. But the Indiana Pacers trade Paul George for Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis. Victor Oladipo was a disappointment. Sabonis was still a young guy who, still had much to prove. Paul George is a premier player. He's not as good as people say he is, but he's still a premier player and a hell of a lot better than what Oklahoma City had to get rid of. And he gives them a legit superstar on that Oklahoma City team. Because then that was the whole thing. Westbrook didn't have a lot of help. Blah blah blah. Now he has Paul George, a guy who can easily average 25 a game. Big question with this one is not necessarily to play. Obviously, we'll have to see how, because a lot of people talk about how Westbrook plays with other stars or whatever. We'll have to see how that goes. But is Paul George a rental? Is he only going to be there 1 year? Is going to be the question. Now, obviously, they have some team success. They'll probably have a greater chance of keeping him. But I think he has his mindset on LA. I think he's a rental, which would be a bummer for the Thunder. Just because you bring in a guy who's a really good player, got high hopes or whatever, and he pretty much walks after 1 year. And I think this one just happened. Sign and trade. The Clippers get Gallinari for the 3 years, $65 million. Of course, Nuggets get Paul Millsap. I talked about that one. Jamal Crawford. This is a 3-team deal between the Clippers, Nuggets, Hawks. Like I said, the Clippers get Gallinari, the Nuggets get Paul Millsap, and the Hawks get Jamal Crawford and a first-round pick from the Rockets. So the Clippers did get the Rockets next year's draft pick. But yeah, that one actually just came up. But I can say one thing: the East is gonna be shit next year. And it was bad last year, but you removed Jimmy Butler for the Bulls. He was the only thing that even helped get the Bulls to the playoffs. You removed Paul George from the Pacers. These are two playoff teams. Weren't that good. I think they were probably the two worst teams in the playoffs. They still made it to the playoffs. So you remove those two guys. Those two teams are going to suck. They're not going to make the playoffs. A guy like Paul Millsap from Atlanta. The Atlanta team's in rebuild mode. So another team that made the playoffs, they were a top 5 seed. They're gone. I always thought they were fool's gold anyway. So now you just diminished the East and the West. The West is going to be better. Oklahoma City is going to be better with Paul George being there. Timberwolves is going to be better when you add Jimmy Butler. Nuggets were right there knocking on the door for the playoffs at that right there at that 9th seed. They're going to be better with Paul Millsap. So you diminish the East, strengthen the West, and you talk about Chris Paul. The Clippers, they got weakened, but it strengthened the Rockets if those two guys can coexist in terms of Chris Paul and James Harden. So that's probably one thing you can say. East is worse, West got better. That's pretty much how I look at it. And you'll have the people who come out and say, well, they're running from LeBron, but they're going to run over to the West and get spanked by the Warriors. Just saying. But let me know what you think down in the comment section. Like this video. What do you think? Tell me about the different trades. Who was your team? And did you like what they did in the offseason? I can tell you right now, the Bulls were shit. One of the worst trades I've seen in quite some time. I have to really think back. But that Jimmy Butler thing, it was terrible. But let me know what you think down in the comment section. Like this video, hit that thumbs up button, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.